everyone, and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Happy Tuesday. Hello. I hope that you guys are all doing well, and I hope that you're surviving whatever circumstances and situation that you are currently in. I know that what's going on in the world right now is affecting us all differently, and we all have different feelings about it, a different mindset about it, and that's totally fine. And I just continually praying for everyone to get through this situation as best we all can, and still continue to be positive and motivated to get as much as we can done. Use any extra time wisely, whether it's spending time with your family or working on projects that you never have time for, or relaxing more if you're just that person that's always like go, go, go. I totally get that. Whatever it is, I just hope that this time is still great, and it doesn't have to be super negative or blah or terrible. And I know that it is severely affecting a lot of our mental states, including mine. I totally get it. And this is the reason why I still want to push any sort of motivation, any sort of inspiration, encouragement that I can give. I've actually been trying to figure out how to relaunch my YouTube channel, which is meant to just encourage people. And I'm trying to come up with like video ideas of how to really keep you motivated and keep your mental health as good as you can keep it during everything. So anyway, I just hope that you're doing great. If your day has already started, I just hope that it can get better if it's not going well. And if it is going well, that's awesome. And if your day has just started, well, hello. And again, happy Tuesday. Just a reminder that this week we are talking about control issues. And today, Tuesday, we were talking about knowing your boundaries. And I'm not sure, I talked a little bit about boundaries in a previous episode, and in the weeks to come, I will be talking a whole week about boundaries, because boundaries are so important. I never knew how important they were until I went to college, actually. And I wish I'd known about them when I was younger, because it would have made my life a million times better. But anyway, so today I just want to talk about knowing your boundaries in regards to control issues. So let's just jump right in. So knowing your boundaries. Make a list of all the things that make you upset when those things are outside of your control. So on yesterday's episode, I did talk about making a physical list, not a mental list, a physical list, even if it's a voice memo or a note on your phone, a physical list like in a journal, a Post-it note on your desk. It doesn't matter. And I said that it should be a minimum of 3 things, but 5 are better, and anything more than that is awesome. But it's just important to make a list of all the things that upset you when they're outside of your control. And that's why I'm saying it again, because, and I'll probably say it again later in the week, it's so important. It's so important to make that list, because it'll help you become more self-aware. It'll help you to really identify those things that push you to your limits and overboard, so that you can focus on those things a little bit more and find out how to make them better, find out how to react less to them, find out what could help you react less to them. You know what I mean? And just to know what your triggers are, because knowing what your triggers are so key to being able to getting beyond those negative emotions, feelings, reactions that you're having to those things. So also, when you make that list, go ahead and create an alternative to how you can react to those things that make you feel out of control. So an example would be in the situation that we're in right now with the virus spreading, and how a lot of us are enacting the self-isolation, the self-quarantining, staying home, only going out when we absolutely need to, which I totally endorse. But one of those things is that something that we can't control that bothers me so much is forcing everyone else to practice those guidelines that we are. When you get on social media, especially right now when we're in that spring break season, people are still going places. People are still congregating in groups, and that brings me a lot of anxiety and anger that I am not able to control those people and be like, listen, don't you understand that we should all be staying home this is my personal opinion. And if you agree with it, great. If you don't, that's fine. That's fine. But as that example, I get really frustrated because I'm like, oh, why aren't they doing this thing? It's really bothering me that they are not adhering to these same practices that we are, so that we can try to keep everyone safe and, flatten the curve, just kind of like tame down the virus and not let it spread as quickly as it is. So instead of being so upset about that, just really practice social distancing yourself, but remain socially connected. And I find that if we are practicing what we believe will be the best course of action to slow the virus, then we can set ourselves up as role models to others, so that if they ever figure out that the best way to attack this thing is to stay home and not, go through with those, what I personally believe is selfish actions of going out and, still getting in groups and partying and, wanting to celebrate your spring break because, oh, you feel like you've earned it. And like, I get it that you've probably looked forward to this. You've put money into it. I get that. But I think that it really comes down to not being so selfish and realizing that you could be risking other people's lives without even knowing it. But instead of harping on all of those things, which I have been lately, and I've been trying really hard not to, you just need to focus on practicing your own social distancing. You need to practice just showing people that you can be home, but then still virtually connect to your friends, FaceTime or Skype calls, or, I know a lot of celebrities right now are doing the whole, going on Instagram live together, and you can still do that. My daughter used to do that all the time with her friends, where they get on together on live and then chit chat, and then other people can send in questions or chit chat with them. It's like a group chat, where a couple people are on the video and everybody else is just typing. The way that I described that sounded like I'm so old, and I'm not that old, but I'm old. Anyway, so you know what I mean? You just can do those kind of things and be a role model of how you should act in this situation, as opposed to being so distraught over how other people are acting and how they're not acting the way that you would want them to. Also, another thing that I've been trying to evaluate is I've been feeling so out of control with not knowing how long this whole thing will last. And I know that that's a worry for so many people. And if you were to write that down on your list of things that, are making you feel out of control and making you stress out and have anxiety attacks, the opposite of that would be to really think about, how we talk to ourselves and how we encourage ourselves, and how to give yourself a pat on the back and accolades for doing what you were told and what the research says is best to flatten the curve and to make the virus slow down, is by staying home and not going out when you don't need to, and if you want to go the extra mile, trying to find any way that you can to help others in this really, really hard time. Like if you were going to go out and I know that a lot of things that I've been seeing is people really need blood donated at this time. So if you think about that really confuses me, is that what if you do have the virus and you don't know, are they going to test you first and then take your blood? But anyway, I know that that's something that's really important. Maybe you can go to the grocery store for an elderly couple or someone that is immunocompromised, if they're afraid to leave their home or go into spaces where there's lots of people. Maybe if you have the opportunity to still support local businesses in your area, or if you have the opportunity to just help people out with money that that have lost their jobs, and to bless them with food and anything else that they might need and cannot afford right now. So, because like you don't know how long it's going to last. Instead of harping on that, just do what you can right now and focus on all the, like I said at the top of the episode, focus on that time that you have right now and how you can best use it if you do have more time than you normally do. So that is the example. Creating it so you can do this outside. I just know that this whole week was based upon the emotions that I'm feeling about what's going on in the world right now. So that's why my examples are geared in that direction. But anything that you're feeling out of control, you can put on that list and then find an alternative to it. So yesterday I was talking about how I'm a super control freak about all the chores that go on in my house, and that how it's really hard. It was really hard for me to start handing down chores to my daughter so she can learn how to do those things. And so an example from like an everyday thing for doing laundry is I started making my daughter do her own laundry, and I was so afraid that she might ruin some of her clothes, and clothes are expensive and she's always growing, so we're always having to buy clothes. But I would put that on the list as like control over laundry and messing things up, and the alternative to that would be the opportunity to teach her how to do it the way that I believe it should be done, so it's done efficiently, so it's done correctly without ruining anything. It's an opportunity to spend time together, because I'm there helping her sort things, figuring out what products to use and when and why, and just putting a positive spin on it, and maybe the alternative isn't always positive, but it's something better than obsessing over being out of control and upset and all those negative emotions that you're feeling. So even if you could just feel like in the middle of the road as opposed to negative, then that's way better. It's just extremely better. So you're just changing, you're creating that boundary by not falling over into the deep end of that emotion, because this can go with any emotion, not just having control issues. But if you're feeling super anxious about something, as opposed to letting that anxiety take over everything and not allow and like take over your mind so much that it won't allow you to do anything else in your life, you can take a step back, evaluate it from afar, and tell yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to feel this way, but then after the timer goes off on 10 minutes, like actually set a timer, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go do this thing for 15 minutes to a half an hour and see if it feels better. And if not, then you can take another 5 or 10 minutes to sit and think about what's going on and what's giving you anxiety. And then after the timer goes off, you're going to go and do another thing. Do you know what I mean? Until you're able to just fully be free of that thing that's captivating your mind. So it's just creating those boundaries of not letting yourself just be fully immersed in that negative thing, but how to like bring it back into the positive, more positive side. Also, evaluate your general boundaries in life, like I was just talking about, just to keep yourself sane. It's so important. Boundaries, I cannot wait to talk a full week about boundaries because it's so helpful. You want to also set boundaries around difficult family members. That's also, especially if you have control issues with them. If you find that you don't like the way that they treat others, or you don't like the way that they break like social rules of the way that they treat people, or they cheat at stuff, or they just do things that are wrong, and they're like cheating the system in some way. I definitely had a lot of people like that in my life growing up. I can get into that later, but for me personally, I would get so obsessive about that, and then, try to talk to them about that, and it just would never go right. And I had to create that boundary of like, okay, you're going to live your life. My alternative is I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to set aside some time to pray for you, but I'm not going to let it take over my life. I'm not going to let it just continually bother me so much so that I can't get anything else in my life done, that I'm so overly concerned about you that it's driving me crazy, and Because for me, control issues, they just like, the wheels will be turning in my head all day, all night, all the time. And it's just not something that anyone has time for. So I will take a step back. I will be like, you know what? You're going to do what you're going to do. I don't have any control over you. I'm not responsible for your actions. I'm drawing the line. And some people, they actually might change their actions, because if they know that you are no longer obsessed with what they're doing, or you're no longer like wholly focused on what they're doing, and they no longer have an audience, a lot of times people will stop. If they don't have an audience to perform for, sometimes they will no longer do it, or they'll double down on it, which can really drive you crazy for a little bit. But just know that either you'll get really good at ignoring them, or they will give up, because again, they don't have an audience. So just know your boundaries mentally, physically, in all aspects of your life. Live and breathe and die by them, because those things will keep you safe. And if someone is getting in your space, and you know them well enough to let them know that you have boundaries and you don't want to cross them, and those are the things that are going to keep you going day after day, despite what may be happening in the world and what's going on around you. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to end it here. Again, happy Tuesday to you all. I'm praying for everyone. I hope that your days are going well, and I hope that you're able to accomplish so many awesome things during this time, despite what's happening in the world. So, happy Tuesday. Have a good one. I cannot wait to see you for tomorrow's episode on Wednesday. I'll see you later. Bye.